Hey everybody, it's On Screen, Off Screen with Josh Conlon and myself. We talk about what we've watched during the week and how our lives affect what we watch, and what we watch affects our lives. Um, did you want to break from talking, or did you want to go first,
I
Colin?
can go first. I can go
Okay,
first.
I'll have Colin start us off then.
Sorry, guys. I'm feeling like crazy sick, but we're getting through the episode. So last week, my co-host recommended Rental Family, and it sounded super interesting to me. And Josh said it was the most surprising movie he's ever seen. I heard basically a summary of what the movie was about, and I was still absolutely glued to the screen and surprised by what I watched for a movie that I already heard about. That's crazy. It was delightful in a weird way. I've never seen a movie like this. We went through it last week, but basically, it's a real thing that happens in Japan where they will rent actors to play family members or really whatever a Japanese person needs. And there were two that I found particularly insightful. The first one, our main character plays a father that has been missing from this little girl's life for her entire life. And he comes to love this little girl like kind of an adopted daughter, but he's not. He's an actor. And at any point, by their culture and by the way this works, the mother can just decide, nope, you need to leave. It's time for you to go. But the daughter needs a father figure to be able to get into this school. Um, and I found the discovery of the culture of Japan super, super interesting. I found the connection with this little girl when his life is kind of not going well at all, and how this little girl gives him hope and makes him want to be a different person, see things through different eyes. Absolutely charming and heartfelt. Like, it really grounded me into the movie and made me go for this main character. I was surprised by how much I liked it when I was kind of like, I hate this idea. Like the idea of this of paying somebody to be your daughter's fake father sounds appalling. Like, when I say that, that sounds awful. But in the movie, I 100% bought it. I was like, I believe this culture. This is weird. Um, and I had a culture shock watching a movie, which I don't know the last time I had that, and I found that fascinating. The other aspect is this old man who's a musician who thinks nobody cares about them anymore, so he's paid to become a journalist who is going to do a article on this old man and to make him feel important again. And he connects with this old man, and in the middle of the night, he takes the old man back to a place that was really impactful to him. He's losing his memory. The old man knows it. And there's this scene where he's stabbing the ground with the knife, and he pulls these old pictures out, and he just starts crying as he's looking through these old pictures. Um, I think losing your memories is one of the most horrifying things in the entire world. And I think this is one of the best done scenes exploring that idea and exploring humanity that I've ever seen, where he just wants to see his wife again. He lived in a time before phones where he couldn't just look it up on his computer, and he wants to see these pictures again. He wants to see his wife, how beautiful she was, how handsome he used to be, to remember that time in his life, to be nostalgic. It is magical. This movie is magical. I was surprised by how impactful it was. I was surprised by how touching it was. It made me want to be a better person. It made me want to be more empathetic. And then at the very end of the movie, I think that's one of the best endings of a movie I've ever seen. Josh talks about the mirror that pops up. Earlier in the movie, our main character is talking to the old man, and he's like, I don't know why I would go and pray in there. I'm not religious. I've never really understand the religious thing. They were going to make me go to church. I've never been religious. And at the very end of the movie, he goes to this place, and he performs a ceremony, basically honoring the old man, is how I took it. And everything parts, and the mirror is right there. Throughout the entire film, he is discovering different versions of himself through the different people that he's paid to become. And I took it as like, what if somebody paid you to be great? Could you play a great person? What if somebody paid you to be religious? Could you pay to be religious? Be a religious person? Could you back that religious person? Who's the person that you want to be? Who could you be that person? I like the idea of Buddhist philosophy and the idea of becoming good with oneself, becoming peaceful with oneself. Could you, if somebody paid you to be great, could you do it? And if somebody paid you $1 million to be this person, would you? If it's worth $1 million to be that person to you, why not be that person? Look in the mirror and see that person because it's there. You can be that. I loved this movie. Like loved this movie. And I'm giving it a 9.5.
Very good. I think it's I think it's funny that each of us really liked the mirror scene and that we all got something different from it. It's kind of what the podcast is all about. How like our different perspectives feed into how we receive something. So I really like that. Glad you watched it. Glad you liked it.
Me too. Me too. It's
Good.
way better than the trailer does not do this movie justice. It's way better
No.
than the trailer. Yes, way better.
Yeah. I feel like trailers are very misleading nowadays. Because they just don't want spoilers, but then it kind of sells a different vibe than what you actually get.
Yeah.
I
This
think that
episode I would
adds to the
name being
movie.
shocked.
And good ads.
Yeah. In this specific case, I think it adds to the movie, where you go into it expecting like this kind of silly comedy and Japanese culture movie, and that's where the movie starts. And then we get culture shock. We get him doing the wedding. We get him discovering himself, the guy with the video games, and we slowly develop into what the story is at the end.
Okay.
Very good.
Well then, let's go move on to Josh, your topic. I'm interested because you texted me a bunch of this person and that person texts.
Yeah, so the movie I watched is called Eternity. It came out just last year or early this year. I don't even remember. And when I saw the trailer, I was instantly fascinated. The basic plot is Elizabeth Olsen dies. She goes up to heaven and she has to decide if she wants to spend eternity with her first husband, who died in the Korean War and she never got to have a life with, or her long term 67-year husband, played by Miles Teller. Um, and she's kind of bombarded with which does she choose, the person she built a life with or the person she always wished she could have built a life with? Who does she spend eternity with? um, so instantly saw the trailer, I was like, I'm very interested in this. I'm really interested to see how they explore these ideas. I expected kind of a rom-com, um, and it to be kind of funny. It's reviewed pretty poorly. Most people didn't really have a good time with this one. Um, I did. I thought it really fascinating. There's an interesting LDS tie to it. As a former Mormon, we have, or the LDS church teaches, right? You get sealed to one person, right? But what if that person dies and you get remarried? What if you want to spend your time with them instead of the person you were sealed to in the afterlife? So I found that very, very fascinating, right? My parents are divorced, but they didn't break their sealing. So the idea of this afterlife of like my mom's sealed to my dad, but like I was always taught that like just because you're sealed doesn't mean you have to spend your time with this person. Uh, so I found it absolutely fascinating. There's also the what could have been. I'm a kind of person, I like to think of myself as a romantic. I very often get caught up in thoughts of, well, it could have been with that person or what could have been with that person. So that idea was very interesting for me as well. Um, So yeah, my complaints about this movie are exactly what I was texting Lauren about. I originally thought it was Teller versus
Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell, but it wasn't. It was Miles Teller versus Callum Turner, and Callum Turner plays the war guy, and I don't really buy it. He's not like super attractive, and he's certainly not vastly more attractive than Miles Teller. The movie starts at a pretty appalling place. So Miles Teller's old. He's not him played by himself. He's this old guy, and he goes to a um, gender reveal party, and his kids are looking through photos, and they find a picture of Callum Teller Turner with Elizabeth Olsen, and they're like, "Why didn't you marry this guy? Maybe then we could have been attractive."
Mm.
And then the old version of Miles Teller's character chokes on a pretzel and dies. That's where this movie starts. And I'm like, your kids are awful. What kind of a child says that to a parent? That is truly, truly terrible, terrible thing to say. But he goes up into heaven, and they basically get to pick their eternity, right? You can go to beach eternity, you can go to mountain eternity, you can go to Mormon eternity, you can go to Catholic eternity, you can go to, there's one that's like closed down because it's like clown eternity, and they're like, yeah, that one wasn't very popular. Um, so they shut that eternity down. Um, I was very, very interested, and the bond that Miles Teller's character and Callum Turner's character have is very interesting because they don't know. Like, they're both waiting for Elizabeth Olsen to get there. So they're just hanging out, waiting to choose for her to get there so that they could choose to be with her, but they don't know. So it's just a bartender and a guy who just showed up. Um, this movie was a lot more serious than I thought it was. To give a little bit of a spoiler away, she chooses the wrong guy and regrets it. So, but they have a rule: once you choose your eternity, you can't change. So she's escaping that eternity to go back and be with the one that she should have been with. And in order to do that, sorry, in each eternity, there is a spot where you can go and reflect on your life. You just go through and it shows you all your happiest moments, all your loved ones, what happened to you, etc., etc. Um, but to go through it, she has to go through her worst moments. She has to go through what this place doesn't show you. And I found it absolutely brutal to watch and truly, truly heartbreaking as kind of a romantic myself. So she goes through and it shows her like fighting with Miles Teller, struggling with having a baby, going through all these rough, rough, really horrible, horrible arguments. But the last one she sees is her older version of herself dying without her husband next to her. And that was like the awful thing that like was so deep into this tunnel. And I was just like, oh, that is absolutely heartbreaking. That is horrible to see. And to think that that in itself is such a horrible moment in her memory was very hard for me to watch. Um, my complaints about this movie are I think it ends poorly. I don't like who she chooses. I think Callum Turner isn't the right choice because to me, Miles Teller is a pretty attractive guy, and he is a diamond faced, weird looking dude. And to have him be like the handsome one, didn't really buy it either. I also got the feeling that they really wanted Ben Affleck and Matt Damon to play the parts because Callum Turner just like I just see the director be like, pretend you're Ben Affleck and do what he would do in this scene. Just be Ben Affleck. And it's like,
We want this to be another Pearl Harbor.
be Ben Affleck. It just feels shoved down my throat, and then that defaulted to Miles Teller being a little bit Matt Damon. He's not quite as bad, but like Callum Turner, even like slips into a Ben Affleck accent regularly, but doesn't do it the whole time. So it's like, man, you really just didn't get the actors you wanted for this movie, did you? Uh, but again, I think because of my LDS upbringing, I found this idea and how they explored it absolutely fascinating. It was very, very
I
interesting.
I saw that you added this, and we're same upbringing, and I was instantly like, oh, why hasn't anyone made this movie? That's so interesting. I want to know that. Same exact thing.
It's so funny because this is my nightmare.
Yeah,
Because, like, I have a, oh my gosh, what is that called? A chronic illness that, like, when I first got it, people were like, oh yeah, you're going to die young, basically, because there hasn't been a lot of research of diabetes when I was diagnosed. And so a lot of people are like, yeah, if you don't, you're most likely going to die young. A lot of people don't live long with your condition. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And then I thought about like marriage and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, like if I do get married, then I die, they're probably going to get remarried and they'll probably choose the next person because no one's ever gonna pick me. So it was like a really big like nightmare of mine that I was like, I guess I'll just like I'm not here for a long time, but I'm here for a good time. And so it's like when I saw the thing for this, I was like, I don't like to think about that. I've thought too much about that. I don't like that. But I don't know. I don't know that I do want to watch this movie even still.
totally fine.
Fair.
Yeah, it is a pretty serious topic to talk about. I really like the YouTube channel Last Meals because this is the topic of conversation that they have every time, and it's interesting to see what people believe and how they talk about it and what they think is going to happen.
Well, I have a very dear friend of mine who um, her first husband passed away while she was still pregnant with her fourth kid, and then she got remarried, and she's been remarried to this man for way longer than she ever knew her first husband. But she's sealed to her first husband and not her second. And like I've had this conversation with her, and she's like, well, from what I believe, she's like, I don't think God's gonna be like, you get one husband, you choose. She's like, I think it's gonna work out in the end. I think he's more understanding than you get to pick your eternity once. So I'm like, that made me feel a little bit better, but
Right, for
still,
sure.
it's like, yeah,
Well, luckily, LDS culture does teach the millennium and like you can get resealed, or if you weren't sealed, you can get sealed, and all of those kinds of things. Uh, but it is just an interesting thought experiment for me with this movie. And I think that because we all had this LDS upbringing, it gives that unique perspective where we're taught, like, you're sealed forever. And it's not just choosing your spouse, it's your kids too, and your parents,
yeah,
and all this stuff.
yeah,
So it was, for me, it was absolutely fascinating.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too, like you say with like the ceilings, because like you said your parents didn't get unsealed when they split. My parents did, and so I was like, what's that mean about me? 'Cause, like as a kid, like it's yeah, an interesting. All you LDS people, you know.
Unless you had
um,
happy parents that stayed together. You probably never once thought about this before.
yeah, unless, unless you were traumatized. Oh. Well, I think I missed your rating on
I didn't
Eternity.
give it. I'm going to give it an 8.3 because
Okay.
this is one I will rewatch. I do think it's one that when I watch it again, it's not going to be super soon, but I think I'm going to get something different out of it.
Mm.
I think I'm going to observe things differently. There's a lot of details in it that I think make it really fascinating and interesting. I would recommend you both watch it. I also won't be torn up if you guys choose not to watch it for whatever reason. just because
You're
it
my
is a very
neighbor.
serious thing. Like, hey guys, I love you both so much. How about you go think about death for a little while and then tell me what you think about that? Like, I get that that's a weird
You
thing,
want to
but
sit in a room and think about death for 2 hours?
yeah, just by yourself in a dark, lonely room with little lights.
Joke's
Just
on
go
you.
think
I'm
about
always
it.
thinking about death.
In fact, I really want you to go and bring your laptop and watch this in a cemetery.
Oh my gosh. I used to do that.
Weird. Okay.
I only did it because I knew no one else would bother me in a cemetery. And when I was in college, because I had roommates, and I was like, where can I go that no one will bother me? It was like a cemetery.
On top of a mountain, in your car, anywhere else. I know what college you went to. There's plenty of places to be alone. It is easier to be alone than to be around people there.
Listen, I had a minivan. Even though I did rally that minivan up into the mountains,
I
there were
took
so
my
many other
Camaro
people
up in
there.
those mountains. I don't want to hear it.
That's why I said I would rally my van up there. In fact, I've got my van in different spaces that I can't get my CRV. But anyway,
They
that's a
don't
different
build them
topic.
like they used to.
Yeah, well, it was a 6V versus a 4V, so um all right. Let's hit it back to you, Conlon.
Okay. My next one is The Roofman. Have either of you, do you know what this movie is? Okay, you should both watch this movie. I'm telling you right now, absolutely watch this movie. I was
I've seen it
shocked.
and already talked about it on the podcast.
Oh, did you? I don't remember you talking about. How did I miss that? I love this
feel
movie.
like
What did you think
they
about it,
were-
Josh?
I really, really liked it. It's not like the best movie ever, but Channing Tatum living in Toys R Us. We all thought
Great.
about living in Walmart overnight, like how cool that would be, and he just got to do it for 6 months.
You should absolutely watch this, Lauren. I didn't know this was. I literally forgot. My brain did not remember Josh's topics at all. To be completely honest, I didn't know that this was based on a true story. I was watching it and I was like, this weirdly feels authentic, but it's completely ridiculous. There's no way this is real. And the very beginning, he is in prison and he escapes prison in one of the smoothest escapes I've ever seen. And it's just fast. I was like, Shawshank, eat your heart out. That guy literally carved through a whole wall. This guy just like put a panel down and ran out on a truck. Come on, way smoother. But he goes into a Toys R Us and he goes behind one of the setups, like the bike setups, and he lives there and he has like camera setups and he's stealing from Toys R Us and he's eating M&Ms like at night and he's playing with all the games that are at Toys R Us and he's like going around. And when I saw the poster, I was like, okay, this is going to be a comedy, but it's extremely heartfelt. And you get a little bit of a romance because he connects with one of the employees that's at Toys R Us and he connects with the family and he ends up being like a really good guy. And when you read about the real life person, he apparently was super polite and like really nice. Everybody liked him. Really good dude. But he was an armed robber who would carve through the tops of like Burger Kings and McDonald's, and he would hold people at gunpoint and put them in the fridge and steal all their money. But he's this really, really nice guy who like give the coat off your back if you're cold while you're inside the freezer that he just put you in. Such an interesting dude. And
I'm so
I
sorry.
was
I just need your money.
he just needs you. Literally, he was that kind of person. He's like, I'm so sorry, but I don't want to really put you in the freezer. But here's my jacket. Stay nice and warm. I'm just gonna take your money and leave.
Some
Goodbye.
matches.
I was very surprised by how much I like this movie. There's a lot of heart in it. It's got a good adventure. I was thrilled the entire time. And this is my favorite Channing Tatum movie, which is crazy. It is mine. I loved this movie.
Josh, what
I
is
loved it.
Conlon's favorite Channing Tatum movie?
His best movie. She's the Man. Period. End of story. It's the best one.
I like this one better. I do. The romance was really fulfilling for me. I liked him being the father. When he gets caught at the end, I'm like, no, dude, don't do it. just leave, leave. And I was rooting for him the entire time. I think him setting up his like own little office inside of Toys R Us was hilarious. The general manager of the Toys R Us, I've like when I worked in retail, I was like, that douchebag is realistic. He's so realistic. And there's that guy that never expanded and became anything more. And you are that person. The entire time I was feeling very like this was very authentic. And when I found out it was real at the end, I'm like, good job, guys. Way to go. You made a solid movie that I believed the entire time, even though this never should have happened. Somebody lived in Toys R Us for 6 months and was just stealing candy and playing with games and selling video games so that he could buy cars. Crazy. Love this movie. You should absolutely watch it, Lauren. I think you would have a ball.
Oh, good. What did
Yeah.
you rate it?
8.8.
Okay. Yeah, it's
I
funny
will absolutely rewatch this movie many times. I had so much fun.
because, like, I feel like there's definitely like a genre that girls really like to read, and it's the gentleman robber. And that's what he sounds like. So,
Yeah. He's the real life version of that. And this is a side note that I usually don't think of, but when they showed the real person, I was like, this is the first time that I can think of where they made a movie about a real life person where the real person wasn't just like, oh, you're really, really ugly. And they just got somebody ridiculously attractive to play you that doesn't look anything like you. I was like, you're a good looking dude. And Channing Tatum is
good looking
notoriously a
dude.
good looking dude. I was like, it actually kind of works. Instead of when I see it, I'm like, well, you're balding and you're fat. And then that guy's like ripped out of his mind. It just was like, look, they kind of match up. It was, I don't know, little side thing. Doesn't really matter, but I thought it was funny.
Look good.
Very good movie.
I was
All
blown away
right.
by the accuracy of the movie too. Um,
Yeah.
like that is really how he broke out of jail. That's really how like he broke into a McDonald's, and that was his exact interaction, and that is what led to him getting caught. He gave his jacket because the assistant manager didn't bring it. Like it's really funny because Channing Tatum's like, "Who doesn't bring a jacket to work when it's 2 degrees outside?" Fine, here, have my jacket.
That would be me. I would
It
be getting
really, really
Channing
did
Tatum caught.
happen. Um, yeah, it's
Kristen's
a
really
really
good
good
in
movie.
it. Their chemistry is very sweet. It's just a really good movie. It's a really good movie.
Good. I'm definitely putting that to the top of my list to watch. All right, let's see. So let's scoot on to my topic. So my topic is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child because I was feeling flighty and I was like, how much are tickets to New York? How much tickets are for sell at Broadway? Because I've been on my Harry Potter kick. I think in my notes I even say Lauren is still on her shit. So which means I'm still hyperfixated on Harry Potter. Um, and I've been seeing a lot of like little things and like it's saying that Tom Felton's reprising his role as Draco on Broadway right now, and he is until May. And so it's like, how cool would it be to go watch him on Broadway? Until I found out how expensive it is to go see him on Broadway. Because so like I had this one thing advertising that there was $70, and so I was like, okay. And I'm like, I'll make that happen. And then I went to go get the tickets, and the cheapest was 250. And I was like, okay, never mind. I still think it would have been a really cool experience. And so I haven't read The Cursed Child, and I was helping my good friend Ellie clean her car, and she's like, wait, I have The Cursed Child, so like, let me give you the book. So I got the book, and I got to reading it, and I don't get the hate. I love this. I think maybe I took to this book so well because I'm in the realm of fan fiction, and so it didn't bother me when they have like Draco has a son named Scorpius, and Scorpius is like too precious for this world. I freaking love his character. Um, like you first meet him on the train, and he like has all of these snacks around him, and he's like, "My mom says that like if I have snacks, I can make friends," and so he's like trying to like get people to actually be his friend by bribing him with snacks. Um, and the reason why he like nobody wants to be his friend is because he's one Draco Malfoy's son, and there's a rumor that he's actually Voldemort's son because they think that Draco had a time turner, and since him and his wife couldn't have a kid, they went back in time and basically she had a kid with Voldemort instead. And so everybody thinks that Scorpius, this little ray of sunshine, is freaking Voldemort's kid. And I was like, how dare you, first off? I was like, everybody should be this kid's friend. He's adorable. And so Harry's middle child, Albus, befriends him, and Albus gets put into Slytherin. So he's the only Potter kid who's put into Slytherin, and he's bullied for it. And like his Harry kind of like has a really rocky relationship with Albus, and there's like this one part where they have a fight where Albus is like Harry's like, it's hard for me to be dad because I didn't have one. And then he's like, so you have it better off. And he's like, I don't know that I do. And he's like, are you saying I should be dead? And Elvis is like, no, I just wish sometimes you weren't my dad. And then Harry's like, yeah, well, sometimes I wish you weren't my son. And I was like, ooh, Harry, no, no. And I like texted Josh and I was like, Harry's a dick. I think I said something else. But I was very passionate about this. Because he continues to like Harry is kind of a jerk in this play. But there's a lot of like timey-wimey things, and I really didn't like I thought it was fun. Cause Albus and Scorpius end up it's like their fourth year, and they get the idea that they should go back in time and save Cedric Diggory. And I'm like, I had no idea where this plot was going. And so I love how it kind of follows how 14-year-olds would stumble. Like, they're like, this is a great idea. And then when you think back on it, you're like, that's the dumbest idea. But these are like 14-year-old boys. So, of course, they think it's a great idea. And Albus is the ringleader and Scorpius is the follower. But Harry is like, no, Scorpius is like influencing my son. And then Draco's like, no, my son's 1000% a follower. He's like, Draco knows his son and Harry doesn't know his son. And like throughout this, I think I sent a TikTok to Josh where it has the Reba thing where it's like a single mom that works too hard. And I'm like, that's definitely Draco in this because his wife dies and he's raising Draco by himself. And that's where like the father son relationships is a little strained because he doesn't know how to talk to his son about grieving the passing of his mother.
The most unrealistic part of the whole thing. There's so much thirst for that guy, he'd have a line of wives around the building.
No, but the thing is that Draco only loves Astoria. Like, loves her, so he's not gonna go after. But yeah, I agree. There are a lot of people that are thirsting after Draco.
The Malfoys also only do arranged marriages and only purebloods. And I'm so sad that I know that.
Except, in this, like, yes, but, like, they were trying to pull Scorpius out of that. Like, they do not care about those things. They don't want to continue that way of thinking.
Right, I agree. I'm not saying that. I'm saying Malfoy his marriage was arranged.
Yeah.
And it was for a pureblood. Mm-hmm. And I actually think it's one of the better parts of Harry Potter is Malfoy has this struggle of not wanting to be like his dad, but so desperately wanting his approval. Like, Draco's dad wanted nothing more than for him to be Harry Potter's friend, and that's why he fought so hard against being friends with Harry. It had nothing to do with Harry and everything to do with a big F you to his dad.
Yeah.
Like, it, anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot of the fandom of Harry Potter does not accept the cursed child as canon. I don't care if it's canon or not. I had a good time reading it. I know there's a lot of plot holes. I do not care. I enjoyed this. And the book is actually just the screenplay. It's not written like a book. It's written like you would read a script. And so that took me a little while to get used to. Um but yeah, I loved Albus and Scorpius's relationship throughout. They have like, because they go back in time several times to try to save Cedric, but then the first time they do it, it shifts everything so that like all of a sudden Hermione and Ron never got married and things, and Albus was sorted into Gryffindor, which I thought was a very interesting thing that they did, because that's when Albus realizes that him and Harry still have this disconnect as father and son, even if he's in Gryffindor. And so he's like, oh, it wasn't because I was in Slytherin that my dad is struggling with me. Um, and then the second time they go back in time, they accidentally make it so Harry gets killed in the Battle of Hogwarts, so Albus ceases to exist, and Scorpius lives in like the darkest timeline. And it's very like, I thought that was very interesting how in that timeline he was kind of like the king of everything, and he's like, the world's so much better, but I fit better in it. And he has this conscious decision of being like, no, I need to like put it back. um and so he like sacrifices all of this stuff, but it's also a really crappy world. And so he goes back, um and he goes back to the times that he went back in time to fix him fixing the time anyway. And I think, yeah, it's just really wholesome, I think, of a story. It's has plot holes. I really want to see it on stage because of how they deal with, like, I've seen some clips of scenes, and it is fascinating how they do like the magic on the stage. It looks really cool. Um and then, yeah, so they have Tom Felton reprising the role. They asked like Rupert, he said like maybe he would, but he's not like gun ho for it. And they asked Daniel Radcliffe, and Daniel's just like trying to distance himself from Harry Potter, which I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And then people keep like, I don't get the Tom hate for Tom wanting to reprise his role as Draco, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, he never moved on or whatever. And I'm like, God forbid somebody liked something and wants to pursue it and like is having joy redoing something. Yeah.
I think the hate, not saying that I agree with it, is because we haven't seen Tom do anything really notable since. Right? Like, I hate the psych movies because it's pretty clear that all the actors wanted to go and do other stuff, but they failed at it and didn't really find success. So they were like, well, let's just go back to what's comfortable. I don't think that that's Tom's situation. I'm saying that's probably what people are perceiving it as.
Yeah. And I'm like, just get off his case. Like, you can see, like, in the little things that I've seen, he's enjoying it. He's loving it. And I think that's great. I'm very happy for him.
Yeah.
Um, and then I just see people hating on it. And it's making me like, because some people are mad because of the ties with JK and things like that. And getting on a soapbox here. I've been like, if you've seen The Good Place, where in the end they're like, oh yeah, nobody's been sent to the good place in forever because this one person was trying to be nice and gave a rose to somebody else. Well, that rose was from a sweatshop or whatever, but they had no idea it was from a sweatshop. So actually, when they should have had positive points, they were getting negative points to be going to the bad place. And I feel like that's like the internet now. Like you find one thing that's good and happy and people will just tear you down because they're like, oh well, don't you know this is supporting that? And it's like, no, I had no idea it was supporting that. Why can't I just like have one thing that's good? um and so yeah, I think people should just freaking leave Tom alone, let him enjoy his life, let him enjoy his role, and stop making people feel crappy for enjoying things that like helped them in their childhood or helped them in their adulthood or that they just enjoy. Just freaking let people enjoy themselves. Gosh darn it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
it's really cool. Gets to go back to a character that he did before at an age that works for a script by the original author. Like that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's, yeah. I'm happy for him. I hope he had the best time. It seems like he's having the best time. Um yeah, I really I really wish I could see him as Draco. Even if I like I want to see the cursed child whether he's Draco or not. It'd be a dream to see him as Draco, but I'm really hoping that maybe they filmed it and they'll release it. The
I don't.
stage
This
version.
is one they should do it. They should film this one.
Yeah, because like I said, it's just like I think it would be really cool to see in person because the special effects are so baffling to me. Like I know there's a whole bunch of wires, but like there's a scene where like the chairs are getting like thrown every which way um and they're like all freezing in the air and then all of a sudden they like go back into the spot that they're supposed to be. And I'm like that
That's cool.
I like, oh, it would be amazing. um but yeah, I honestly think, yeah, I don't get the hate for the cursed child. I took forever to read the cursed child because a lot of people told me that it was lame and not good, and I think it was the that it was written as a play is what turned a lot of people off from it. Um, it took me a second to get the flow of reading it like that, but I thought it was great. I hope to see it in play someday. Um, hashtag somebody get me tickets. Just kidding. But yeah, so actually, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, I would rate as 9.5.
That's pretty
I
cool.
really liked it. Hmm.
That's awesome.
Um, it might be recency bias because I literally just finished it last night, and then have just been watching edits since, trying to find like, yeah, somebody just sneak a video to me. I want to see something so bad. Okay, we should go on to our shared topic: beautiful day in the neighborhood. Josh, what are your thoughts?
I'm so glad that I get to go first. Um, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is a sort of biopic about Mr. Rogers and his friend, whatever his name is, who wrote a news article about him a little bit later in life. Um, I didn't love this movie. Um, I thought that they got Mr. Rogers completely all wrong. I thought Tom Hanks was a bad decision. I thought that there was times where Tom Hanks went a little too Forrest Gump for me. A movie I haven't seen, by the way, and I literally Googled, did Mr. Rogers have special needs? Because I heard a little bit too much Forrest Gump in him slipping into that a little bit too much. Uh,
Will you be my neighbor?
I heard that. I was like, really? Really, dude? That's what you did for this role? Um, it was it was so weird for me. They tried to tell like this trauma story uh, of what happened to the author, which was completely fictionalized, and tell it in the Mr. Rogers neighborhood thing. So Mr. Rogers is like, here's a picture of my friend Jenny. And I was like, what the freak is going on? And there's the scene where he's like dreaming about being on the thing in the castle really small as Mr. Rabbit or whatever. And I was like, did I smoke something or take some hallucinogen? What the heck am I watching? I thought this was supposed to be about Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. And it's in it, but it's really about like this author guy. It has some good things about it. Uh, I did not have a good time with it. I'm rating it a 4.9 because there's nothing really egregiously wrong with it, but I would rather watch Black Panther than this.
All right, Conlon. What's your Josh, again, your thoughts?
My last thought is I'm glad I got to go first because I think you two will be more positive than I was.
All right, Conlon, you go.
I am going to be more positive, but this is a weird movie, and it's not what I expected at all. I was expecting a biography type of thing. What do they call it when it's on film? Anyway, film version of a biography. Biopic, that's what I was looking for. A biopic of Mr. Rogers. And from this, I learned that Mr. Rogers was a vegetarian and that he's the one who did the voice for the puppets. And I didn't know those two things. That's basically all I learned. But more, it's the story of a news article that was a real news article. And I did read that actual news article. It is really good, genuinely. And when I switched the way that I perceived it of the story of the news article, I liked it more because I think this is if you approach it as a biopic, it's not a biopic and it will disappoint you and it's very not good. If you approach it as a story of this news article, it's better. I think Tom does a good job as Mr. Rogers, but I also don't know enough about Mr. Rogers to say if it's a really great job or not. And I didn't learn enough to be like, I think that was really good. So I don't really know. I think Tom does a good job in this movie. I think our main character does a good job. I was compelled by his drama and by Mr. Rogers kind of just taking care of him and loving him. I liked it. I'm overall glad that I watched it, but I honestly wish I had more to say about it. There are some really good lines in the movie that are heartfelt, but for a character like Mr. Rogers, who's literally on TV for like 31 years, 35 years, something like that, who is such a big part of our childhood, I think this movie could have been significantly more than it was, and I was overall a little disappointed. I was going to give it like a 6.6, 6.7, right in that range. Worth watching once, won't watch it again. Kind of just I kind of felt about this movie, unfortunately. What
Josh,
did you
you
think,
had your
Glenn?
hand raised earlier.
Oh,
Oh, I was just going to clarify that the news article is real, but his entire life is fictionalized. He never got into a fight with his dad. He never had this thing happen. His dad wasn't dying of cancer. All of his personal like traumas were like
it's fake.
they're like, yeah, he had personal struggles with his dad, but like who doesn't? So they grossly exaggerated those personal struggles. That's what I was saying was fake. The news article, the author is real, but every time they showed him in his life, not real.
The author is a different name, but there is a real author. Like they changed the name for some reason, and I couldn't figure
Because
out why
his
they
life
needed
isn't
to change the
real
name.
that they show.
So they just didn't want to be sued. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like that's what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like the author was real, the article was real, but everything they showed about his life was either exaggerated to an extreme or just plain up not true. There was also multiple people that he was representing too. But yeah. Okay, Lauren.
Yeah, it was just a kind of an okay movie. Just okay.
I'm glad that you guys share my views because that's why I had you guys speak first. was because I was like, I could not get into this movie. There was some things that like I liked. Like I liked how Mr. Rogers was trying to be very present with the writer, and I thought that that was interesting how he could like how he was trying to bring him into the moment and be like, okay, no, like he's like, oh yeah, we're talking right now. When can we schedule a thing? And he's like, we're talking right now. We can talk about the thing that you need right now. Um, and then this is also the movie that made me realize why people compare Conlon to Tom Hanks. I could see physically how he kind of like looks. That was the first time. Uh, you're shaking your head, Josh.
I've heard it my whole life, Josh. My whole entire life.
I don't see it at all.
I hadn't seen it until this movie. Um, but and there was like kind of a heavy thing about like forgiveness in this movie, and it like made me think like something that I've always thought about like forgiveness. Like I've never thought that forgiveness was for the other person. It's always for you and like your piece of like, because if you just like, sit there and stew on what somebody's done to you, it is that whole saying of like you're poisoning yourself. And but I feel like they were kind of being like pushing the forget thing, and I don't like that when people are like forgive and forget. I'm like, no, forgive and always freaking remember. So like you learn from it, but forgive them. Like don't stew on it, but remember, like don't let them do it again. Um, and that was something that kind of like I think I have such a strong feelings for that that kind of like put me off of this movie a little bit and made me stray to my phone while I was watching it more. um, but I feel the same as you guys, other than I did not catch the Forrest Gumpness. Maybe I
Me
wasn't paying
neither.
attention.
Was it just because he was so unrealistically cheery
Calm.
and
No,
good and
because
like
it wasn't all the time.
Mm.
okay?
I was exaggerating when I said this is my friend
Janae.
Jenny, right? Like I didn't
Yeah.
hear it there, but when he's talking to the author, he'll sometimes pause and be like, maybe, maybe, do you? And like I just hear the accent a little bit. Like it feels like it's not constant. It's not all the time. It's not like I was sitting there like that's Forrest Gump. That's not Mister Rogers. It's just like he's slowing down, doing a Forrest Gump pace, and I think he just did the accent accidentally quite a few times during the movie. That's what I genuinely
Mm.
think.
That's fair.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I
That's
think
fair.
my rating is probably a 3 because I don't care to
Oh
watch it again.
yeah, I'm gonna drop mine to like a 5.8 actually because I am slightly positive on it. Like there's the part of the line, but to die is human. Anything human is mentionable. Anything mentionable is manageable. I was like, that's a really cool line. I like that line a lot. It's probably a Fred Rogers line because it sounds like a Fred Rogers line. But I thought about that and I was like, you're right. A lot of times we make big things out of things that are just mentionable. We can talk about it. We can make it through it. It's going to be okay. And there were a couple different lines like that that raised it above Black Panther to me, but it's still just not a great. It's not a great movie. It should have been better.
Yeah, I agree. It was not what I was expecting,
Not at all.
but
I understand why it kind of disappeared because it's just weird. Still weird. They made weird choices.
yeah.
And that dream part, Josh, weird as hell. I was like, So that's how Mr. Rogers helped people. He just gave them shrooms, I guess, and
Got them real
we
chill.
all like got chill together and connected, and that, I don't. It's a very weird choice. Weird choice.
Okay. I don't know if anybody else has caught on of our theme of these 2 episodes. But Conlon, if you would guess what Josh and mine's theme has been these past 2 episodes. Do you know what it is?
Well, the first one I was like, there's a whole lot of Daniel Radcliffe. Right.
Correct. We tried to watch movies with Daniel Radcliffe.
Okay. What
That
is
was
this
it.
one?
This
one. I don't know this one. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Daniel Radcliffe. Josh didn't put
Okay.
Daniel in this one, but I sneaked him in.
Okay.
And then I also have to apologize to everyone who listened to the episode where I told everybody I was a Hufflepuff. I truly believe I'm a Hufflepuff, but apparently Pottermore says that I'm a Slytherin.
But they say I'm a Hufflepuff, so I was right.
And yet I'm wearing a Gryffindor jacket. I'm all over the place. So I guess yay, Draco Malfoy. With that, if you guys want to watch with us for next week, we will be watching Big Fish. And with that, we hope you guys have a lovely week. Bye.
See you guys.